just because it's all experiences.
So I think I'll change my mind and say I wouldn't have changed anything different because of what you brought up with those 10 different drugs.
Yep. Dude, it's crazy that that this conversation has taken so long to occur between you and I.
Well, back in the day, we went back and forth quite a bit, but like really, we just were arguing about who was right over stuff, which is just silliness.
That was good. That was good old fashioned internet banter.
Yeah,
it needed to happen. The fact that you and I speak such a similar language on this topic, I hope that more and more people talk about it in a sense so that young people understand the decisions that they're making. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing I want people to take away from this, is that I want people to become more open to just discussing that these topics are so intense in life, and your life is so full of different layers. Like whenever in the beginning and I was taking a bunch of gear, and my home life wasn't the greatest. It wasn't what it is today. My life today is absolutely beautiful with a woman that just loves me to death no matter what type of day I'm having. Before, whenever my life wasn't like this, I was choosing the steroids and choosing this crazy lifestyle because I was filling a void that I was missing. And whenever we talked about all these things, people need to understand that where you're at in your life, like you're going to have different voids and you're going to be going through different things. Like you said, if you have someone dying, you still got to make a video. You still have to put it on. If you're having something going on in your life, don't make rash or radical decisions just because you think it's a good idea for that moment. I've done it a lot. And I think that people need to talk more about these things so that they understand what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah. And I think that, steroids, bodybuilding, it is an escape. And I'm looking back and I'm like, I had some troubled times, things were going on in my life. And I'm like, I just immersed myself into the steroids, into the getting big, into the diet. And it's like all the problems just kind of went away for that moment. And I mean, other people, they would use alcohol or whatever drug it might be, meth, whatever it is. Yeah. But it's just an escape. And it's like, as soon as you realize what your actual problem is, and you can kind of like take it on and realize that you can be happy without the drugs, it's like your whole world can change.
Yeah. And like you said, like with cycling, like we always will chase these super intense things. Like you get a dopamine rush whenever you drop a new product, or like selling 1,000 cookbooks. Whenever we drop something new, I'm like, I get those feelings. We get them, we chase them, and it's okay to chase them. We will have these things throughout life, like cycling, like me doing CrossFit workouts. I'm not good at it. But like whenever I actually like go through and hammer one and give it all I got at the end, I'm like, man, that was great. We still chase these crazy things. It's just understanding that when you add in certain things like drugs or push the limits to a certain degree, just understand the risk. Like there's a risk associated with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I'm lucky I'm in bike riding where I can do that and do good without any drugs added. And it's not about like there's 4 divisions. I race in the second hardest. So it's not like
you're actually racing.
Bike racing online on Zwift against people around the world. So I'm ranked, I think 1,200th out of whatever, tens of thousands of people. And so you see your rank go up and you see your power, your watts, your heart rate. Yep. You compare yourself, it ranks your sprint, your 1 minute. And so I can see like I'm getting better. I see that progression. And so I could do better. I could take more drugs, and I know I could take EPO and I can be better to race on a friggin' bicycle against some guy I'll never meet from China. Like really? Like, so I'm just trying to be the best version of myself that I can be. I don't need to push all these drugs. I have me, and I get dopamine from improving. Some races I win, some I do shit. If I have a good workout and I push myself hard, I feel really good. I love it. And so that for me has replaced the weightlifting high that we get from, like trying to set records in bodybuilding. I only lift weights 3 times a week.
Yeah, you said you got hurt. Was that what stopped? Like, whenever you got hurt, was that like whenever you were like, I'm done with it all? Like
After I set the world record in the bench press, my shoulder was so bad. I actually heard it 13 days before. I was literally crying because I had trained my whole life to set this world record. I'm in the math. It's like 40 plus record, but still it was all-time bench record. And I'm like, I can't lift my arm. I was doing 5 plates for 4 reps. I'm like, man, I'm going to bench 550 with a pause weighing 198. It's like, it's crazy. I didn't do quite as good, but I set the record by 5 pounds. And then after that, I mean, I just couldn't lift my arm. I went like 6 months not being able to really train properly. And then I ended up crashing my bike, getting my triceps tendon attached, switched over to classic physique. I was supposed to do the 212 again. And so I took off of that. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, is this a blessing in disguise? Is this a warning from God saying, you're not competing, take some time off and switch over? Because maybe if it wasn't for that, maybe I'm still pushing everything, and then maybe I'm dead at 47.
I mean, my story's similar to that. Yeah. No, did you have, I mean, yeah, you went back to it after you went back to it with the classic.
Yeah, which is a lot smaller. 185 is the weight limit. So, I mean, if you had to compete at 185, how much drugs would you need? None. You probably have to starve yourself just to make. So this is what I have to do.
I'd be eating T3 like crazy, eating muscle off my body.
And you're about an inch shorter than me. I'm 5'6.25". You're like just 5'5" or so.
I'm 5'6".
Oh, are you over 5'6" or 5'5 3/4"?
I am right there at 5'6", brother.
So like I'm weighing in I'm in Germany, and I stand in, and they're like 5'5 3/4". And I'm like, I'm out of the show. I'm like, wait a minute. And so I'm like, let me height in again. And I stood like this, and I was over the limit by like a millimeter. And I'm like, thank God. It was Dennis James was the one that was weighing me in. And I'm like, dude, I can't not be. And I've competed before. I'm like, what, did I shrink? So the panic of weighing into that height, because, you got 2 hours to make your weight after. Sure. I had to lose 5 more pounds. It's not happening. So I'm like doing everything. I'm thinking, how can I hide in? Do I bang myself with a hammer, get a bump? Do I gel up my hair? I mean, like, I don't know how to do this. Yet Chris Bumstead is 6'1" and can weigh 240 some. And he's like 230. He already looks ridiculous. The height and weights in the IFBB are a joke. They don't make sense. Me and my brother was a biostatistician. We rewrote them all based on actual statistics. The heights are all wrong. They just, I don't know who came up with them, but they don't make sense.
I've never really looked into them. I just knew that I had to be like 180 pounds because I was like 5'6". It said 180. I guess what they get like a 4 or 5 pound flex in the pros.
Amateurs 175 and pros would be 185 for 5'6".
Yeah, I mean that'd mean I'd have to lose 20 pounds to make it, and I don't think I got 20 pounds to lose. But and I've never looked into it, but yeah, no, that was. But like how you went back to it there after I had the health scare, after I had all the stuff. Like it was almost 2 years ago to the day, came back and I'm like, man, I got all straightened out. My blood work looked great. Everything was wonderful. And then I'm like, I mean, I kind of miss it. I'm going to jump back on some stuff and see what happens. 4 weeks in, I'm like, hey, I can feel my resting heart rate is very high again. I go back and get my blood work done. And the doc's like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, well, I thought like maybe I could. He's like, you thought that, like, how's that working out for you right now? And people that are stating all the different reasons that these people could be passing, they could be passing because of the vid or because of the VAX and all these things. I'm like, I don't know if they are, and I can't speak on them because I don't know their personal life, and nobody's really saying that about their personal lives and what they've done. But what I do know is my personal experience and the blood work that I had and the scares that I had from it are very real. And those things didn't occur in my life. Like I didn't.
For me, I feel like it's even hard. Like, I feel like if I was in your shoes, it would have been easier to stop, but my blood work comes back amazing and continuously. I've had even just minor blood work issues while on trend, which you got to expect, but then as soon as I come off, it's amazing. And so I have this great, amazing blood work. And trust me, I want to go on cycle right now. I want to bat. I know how it feels. It's like being an alcoholic. I want to get drunk. Like, it's like and I mean, I'm guest posing soon coming up. And it's like, do you know how bad I want to take something? I'll just take some Anavar or something. I'll look way better. The temptation's there, but I'm like, nah, you just can't do it. But I want to desperately. And so that's from somebody that's abused steroids for, 10 years. It doesn't just go away. I like how I look, love how I look. If anything, I'm cocky about, I look great, but I want to be better. I always want to be better. And I know I would be better if I took more steroids, but I don't want to ruin my health. And even though the blood work says, hey, you're probably fine, doesn't mean you're fine.
Yeah, no, that's another subject that a lot of people have been asking me, like, what happens, if I'm taking all this crazy stuff and my blood work comes back good? I'm like, dude, that's all you can ask for. I mean, if it comes back good, then that's all you can ask for. You're as clear as you can be. Just understand that doesn't mean everything will be good forever. It doesn't mean everything will be okay forever, but for as much as you can do right now, you're good. But don't take that for granted. Don't be like, oh, I'll be good forever. Just understand that you're good now, and that's great.
Yeah, obviously,
you're
like the hope is if you're proactive with your health, you get your blood work done, you go see the doctor, you get your heart scan, all this, and if it's good, well, that's the best case scenario. It doesn't mean you're as healthy as if you didn't do it. Maybe you're at the 90th percentile. You're not healthier than 90% of the world, even though you take steroids. Maybe you'd be at 100% if you didn't take them. Maybe you'd live to be 100. I lived to be 9 and I've used steroids. Maybe you'd have been that person that lived to be 110. You don't know.
No, and that's that thing about, you just got to understand what you want in life and what goals you want to achieve. Like if you want to do wild stuff, if you want to have all the glitz and glam, don't think that people that are the most uber famous haven't sacrificed some shit, even though they don't take steroids. They've sacrificed a whole lot to get to those positions and get to those points. It's not easy for those things to occur, and for our industry, that's the risks that we're taking. And big. Where I'll finish with this on me. Everybody asks, would I change a thing? Like, would I change anything? I wouldn't. I don't regret what I did, just because of how much I've learned and the position that I'm in my life. Like I love talking about these subjects and educating people, but I don't think I'd change anything. I don't regret what I did. I just know that I'm going to make sure that I continue to live my life how I want to.
And to end with the same comment, I would have to say, looking back, is there any regrets I'd have? I would say absolutely, but I don't want to think that way. So I want to think I would do the same thing, but I'm looking back when I took 700 milligrams of Tren and I'm like, I wouldn't have done that. There's no way I would have done that. Some of these cycles I did and some of the drastic weight cuts, right. I'm like, no. And some of the shows I entered, there's no way I would do that same show again. I was torturing myself, trying to get the high of competing again. You win a show and you want to do the next show. And it's like, what am I doing this for? You can get fun and pleasure in other avenues other than just competing. I mean, I've done 59 competitions. Like that's a lot,
Bro.
59, like not many pros have done that many. I did 42 natural. So I've got 17 enhanced shows under my belt. That's a lot of competing on drugs, a lot natural. And I think I would compete a lot less if I had to do it again.
In opposite for me, I'd have competed way more because I only did like 6 shows. Yeah, no, but yep. People need to understand like this is all very real, but I don't know. I loved it. If I never would have did those crazy things, I think I personally, like with my personality, I've been like, what would happen if I did it? You know what I mean? That's why I say I don't have regrets, because I'm like, my dumb, crazy ass would have eventually did it somehow, some way. And I was just such a stubborn, ignorant, hard-headed prick when I was younger. I was like, I'm going to do it. And I'm glad that I did, because now I'm like, I'm in the best health I've been in my adult life. So I'm like, I'm good right now, but I wouldn't change anything just because it's all experiences.
So I think I'll change my mind and say I wouldn't have changed anything different because of what you brought up with those 10 different drugs. If I hadn't have done those steroid drugs, maybe I would have got into crystal meth and cocaine and I'd be in a mess dead somewhere. Maybe that stopped me from going in that route.
I know a lot of people in that crazy addictive personality. Like in college, I got really into drugs because I liked partying. Like it grabbed a hold of me. It just like scooped right under there and cut my balls. I was into it. And I think that, it's another, oh, man, I can't stop talking. One other thing in life that's crazy is, so do you think that like since we're talking about those 10 drugs and 100 and all in front of everybody, like I personally think that there's people out there that would have been better at one of the best in the world if they would have done what that person have done? Like, what happens? Is there another Ronnie Coleman walking around that will never touch steroids that could have been everything that he was, or even better? Do you think that there's somebody out there that's better than any football player or baseball player or soccer player out there that will never touch that sport just because it's not in their mentality, but their physical capabilities would smoke everything that person could be?
I 100% believe there's so many people that could be the best or better than anyone we've ever seen in history. I've even personally coached people that I'm like, this is it right here. And they just blow it. A power lifter who's squatting 600 pounds in grade 10. And I'm like, it took you 3 months to go from 225 to 600. It's just a monster, like just a beast. And then they just get in the wrong route and they're a trucker. They're overweight and just done. I've seen so many gifted athletes just not apply themselves. I've seen so many intellectually gifted, genius-like students that just slacked off in school every day and didn't give a shit. So I 100% believe that so many people waste their potential. I think one of my, if you want to call it a gift, is my persistence of being able to try hard. I think that's a genetic thing. I mean, people talk about, certain guys that, you can work hard, you can overcome it. I think that there's a genetic component to wanting to try hard, to being that kind of guy that just pushes yourself. My whole life, I pushed myself harder than what I saw was everyone else. You're on the basketball team, you're running drills. I'm like, you guys are all slacking. My whole life I was like that. So I see a lot of people I think have wasted talents. And I think the biggest gift of all is the mental strength to just go after it.
Yeah, I agree. It's what I think about that, because with all these life topics, it's like, man, it's crazy to look around and see all the different people. And, I train the optional levels. There's about 12 of them that come and train with me on Thursday nights. And I love it because I'm like, there's a couple girls that are just freaks. I'm like, you're fucking 15, 16 years old and you are savages. You've never done this type of workout ever, and you are just murdering it. It's awesome to see it. It's just different layers of life, different people, there's got to be so many people out there that are capable of doing incredible things and have no fucking clue. They got no clue what they got in them. I love thinking about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen it all the time. And I think that's what's so wonderful about the sport. I think that's why we don't all need, it doesn't have to be bodybuilding. It doesn't have to end with bodybuilding. You associate yourself with a bodybuilder. There's so much other shit out there that's fun. Like, who would have thought bike racing? Bike racing, they could maybe see powerlifting or maybe football. I suck at football. I'm playing flag football every Thursdays, horrible at it, but I'm trying. But there's always something else out there. You don't need to be the best in the world on it. You just need to be better than you were yesterday. As long as you're seeing that progression, it's fun.
That's it. That's like if you told me 5, 6, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, I'd be doing CrossFit, I'd have kicked my own ass.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have.
Fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
All right. So I guess we can end on this note. So I'm happy to have this chat. Hopefully it makes a difference. Hopefully people are listening and paying attention, and that they can contemplate the pros and the cons. And if you're going to do it, well, you're going to do it, but realize that that's the choice that you made. And if you die from it, well, you chose it. Yeah, no. And dude, thank you for having me on. I wanted to have more conversations about this with people, and I appreciate you bringing me on to do so. And especially for all the young people that follow you, all the people that look up to you, all the people that follow me, all the people that look up to me. We're speaking the same language about a topic that's very serious. It's not a joke. It's stuff that will take over your life, that will control you if you let it, and just making sure that you understand what you want in life. And nobody's going to judge you on it but yourself. So people that do judge you on it, fuck them. Who cares? Enjoy your life, do what you want, but just understand that, hold yourself accountable for your actions. It's like all the different things we said in this. But Greg, I can't thank you enough for bringing me on. I loved it. It was a good time. And just a reminder, Seth Feroce, you can follow him on YouTube. Is there anything else that you want to share, like maybe Instagram or what's big for you other than YouTube? You follow me on Instagram and YouTube, Seth Feroce. I was in it early enough to get my own name. So it works. But no, dude, everything that you're doing is commendable. I love the fact that you're open and honest with this stuff, because we need more of it in our industry. All right. Great chat. And so until next time, I am out.